Well, hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the call for tonight. Welcome to the PLR Show, and we are here and ready to go. So, uh, hopefully, if you have any questions, that you brought them and that you're ready to put them right here in the box. If you have any about PLR or anything that you're trying to do, go ahead and put your questions right there in the box. I'll be happy to answer them, and then we will go ahead and get started. Hey, Jerry, how are you? Good to see everybody here. Good to see you, Jerry. And yeah, uh, uh, I do have a few things that I'm going to share with you, but I'd certainly, if possible, always want to start with your questions. And I'm I'm actually happy to be on right now. The last time I looked, the Cubs were losing, and I can't bear to watch. so so yeah, so we can just call this avoidance. I'm glad we're doing this on Tuesday night because I if I have to watch tomorrow and they're down 3-0, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch. So that being said, good evening to you, and let's go ahead and get started. If you don't have any questions about PLR, and I do have a couple of things that I do want to cover, and it's possible that I might not finish right away. It's possible that I might not finish today. So I do understand that. And if I don't, then I'll finish. No, Dana, I did not get your PLR questions. Would you mind writing them in there? I don't have them here in the box. So if you wouldn't mind writing them in here, yeah, I'll be happy to take your question. And while she's doing that, if any of you have questions about PLR or something that you're trying to do, just go right here, go right ahead and type them there in the box. And one of the things that we're going to talk about today is transforming PLR into a product. And I'm going to be doing that probably over the next 2 nights. This is going to eventually be a product in and of itself, but you'll be able to get it right here. And yeah, okay. So can I tell you a little bit more about the 300,000 PLR articles that I offered for the social media offer? There are quite a few generic articles in there, but then again, there are quite a few articles in there that are relevant. And so what I'll kind of show you what one of the files looks like. I think I might even have it open there. And let's see. And they're actually organized pretty well. And let's see, let's go here for a second. And we can actually talk about that a little bit. Okay, so for example, you're going to find within they're organized within some categories here. And what I will tend to do with PLR articles is I will stop at this point, right? And this is where I will start my search. I might start a search inside of a category, but this is generally where I start. So if I know I want to do something, let's say on webinar, right? I might do a search inside of the article, and then I'll let Windows just kind of do a search inside of there and find any content that might be relevant. And so it's at least done within category. Okay, so now here's where I'll start with. Let's say this webinar article here. Right, and this is actually a good thing. So what can we do with this article, right? What is it that we can actually do? Well, one of the first things we're going to do is we are going to then turn this into something that's really going to work for us. And it used to be that article content used to be the primary way that people expressed or people promoted themselves, educationally online. That's no longer the case, right? Now, what we want to do is, I would say, Rob, even before I spin this content, what I would do is turn this into video. Right. There are a couple of ways to be able to do that. Now, one of the things I talked about in Animation Jumpstart is how to take this article and a an animated video. Right. But even if you didn't want to go that far, right? Let's say that you didn't want to go that far. Okay. So let's just eliminate the title here and this stuff. Right. So I'm going to eliminate that. Okay, and all I really want to do with this article, right? This kind of goes to what I sort of want to cover tonight. Is I'm only looking for one or two ideas, right? And so I'm going to take, let's see. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to do is that this article is about talking one to many. Right, and about doing press releases and webinars, and about how to determine who's most responsive. So all I'm really looking for in this article are one or two ideas. So what am I going to do with those one or two ideas? I'm not going to use this content as is, right? And so one of the things that we used to do with content like this is we used to spin it, right? And we would put this content into a spinner in order to make it original. Well, we don't need to do that anymore, right? All we really need to do is we need to take this article and we need to get the main idea from each paragraph. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to open up my PowerPoint here. And my resources are a little choppy. So, okay, so I got my PowerPoint open. But it's a little choppy. Let's see if I can close something up down here. Okay, now, oh, I understand now why my PowerPoint is acting up, because I got the presentation on. Okay. So let's say that I get this. And what I really want to do here is now I know Dana's a writer, so she's primarily concerned about the writing. But what I will tell you is that here's how we used to do affiliate marketing, right? And those of you who've been around internet marketing, you all know this. We used to do affiliate marketing and even build our list with a site, and it's going to come on here in a minute, called Design Articles, right? How many of you all remember Design Articles? How many of you all have been around internet marketing long enough to know that we used to use Design Articles in order to drive traffic? Right? Is anybody here been around that long? And so what would happen would be we take an article like that, we would we would make it original, and then we would put that article on Design Articles, right? And so Design Articles would rank really high in the search engines, so that when people were looking for a solution, very often what would come up in the search engines would be Design Articles. And the reason it would come up was because a lot of marketers were backlinking to their articles and backlinking to the site. And so this site ranked extremely high. And so your article had a good chance of being seen if you knew how to follow some principles and you had good keywords, right? And so it made sense then to take that article content and then turn it into Design Articles. But then we now know that e-design articles doesn't rank that high anymore, and the search engines are different. And so primarily what's ranking now is, at least in search engines, we already know what that is, right? It's YouTube. Right? YouTube is now ranking very high. So what are people, how are people finding information inside of YouTube? A lot of people are using YouTube like a search engine. They're either going to Google itself and they're searching for something and then a video will come up, or some people are going straight to YouTube. Right? There is a statistic that I think there's something like 67% of millennials believe that they can find anything on YouTube. Right? And so that doesn't mean everything. That doesn't mean that everything's on YouTube. That's just a statistic, right? That a lot of people are using YouTube as a search engine. So what are you going to do then with this content? Well, one of the things you're going to do is you're going to use this as the base of a video, right? And so in order to do that, what we want to do is we want to find out, well, what's the best use of our time, right? What's the best use of our time in order to find a video to create that people are actually looking for, and then for us to be able to make an offer with that video, right? So this particular article is about webinar systems, right? So one of the things we want to do with our YouTube search system is that we want to go and we want to start by typing in webinar, right? And so one thing that we can do, and there are tools to do this, right? There are tools that you can do this that'll actually search YouTube. I don't buy them any, but they are out there. Okay, but here's what we see, right? What are people going to YouTube in order to learn how to do? What does that tell you? Right? If these are the most recent searches, or these are the most recent relevant searches, what does that tell you that people want you to be able to put together a video on? Right? Anybody can answer. Okay, so can everybody see? So if I'll make this more visible. So what do you see here? What is YouTube telling you that people are actually looking for in order for you to tell them how to do on YouTube? Okay, anybody can answer. Well, if we look inside of here, right, one of the things we see is steps to running a successful webinar. People want to know that. How to create a webinar. People want to know that. How to host a webinar. People want to know that. Yeah, a webinar tutorial. Exactly right, Rob. How to conduct a webinar. How to run a webinar. How to join a webinar. So now here's how we're going to use the content, right? When we go back and we get content, all we're really trying to do now is we're trying to put together different pockets of information, right? And so what we might do is we might have 4 or 5 slides. And all we're really going to do is we're just going to put this slide over here. We're going to go through here, and anything that's relevant, we're just going to put it inside the right basket, right? Okay, here's something. All right, they capitalize on the buzz by creating timely press releases and information on how the vendor can take advantage of the webinar. Right? That's a promotional issue. So we're just going to put that inside of our slide on promotion. Right? So we're going to have a slide on promotion. Okay, as part of the video stream, the company provides practical demonstrations of the product and benefits are fully reviewed, right? Okay, and this might go under um, steps in the webinar. All we're really doing here is we're looking to fill up these different baskets. And when we have enough content, right, what do we have? Probably if we get 2 or 3 slides on the same subject, we're going to have enough to create a video. When we have 10 slides of information, what do we have? Right? We can actually use this in order to create videos, right, to put on YouTube, but we're going to use that information from YouTube to do what? We're going to use that information from YouTube in order to create a product. And we're going to get the information from the PLR. And we don't have to use articles to do this, right? All we're really going to do, we're just looking to grab ideas. See, the old way of being able to take article content would be to spin it and to try to get it ranked in the search engines. But all you really want to do is either to do one or two things. Number one, you want to get enough content to create a relevant video, right? Or you want to get enough content to create 10 relevant videos. And when you can do that, then what you have is an information product, right? So the way you're going to use the PLR, again, you want to search for your subject inside of, I'm going to not save that. Let's see if I can find it now. I think I closed it now. Okay, I think I closed it. Well, you're going to search for your subject inside of your content. And then you're going to do that same search inside of YouTube. And the reason you're going to do that search inside of YouTube is because YouTube, and you've seen me write this before, YouTube is really what eZine articles used to be, right? So what eZine articles used to be, kind of like an article directory where people would end up getting information from search, they're now getting it from YouTube. And in fact, the YouTube search is probably going to be more effective because it's mobile responsive. So people are always going to be able to get YouTube on their mobile app, and they're more likely to want to watch a video, as long as you make it interesting, right, than they would read an article, right? And I know a lot of you on this call, you might be the other way. Maybe you like to read articles, but most people these days are looking to watch a video to learn how to do something. And so what you're doing with the PLR is you're putting together the steps that will show them how to do it. Right? So that's a good question. So that is really how you don't want to use PLR anymore, right? In order to create written content. And that's partially what I did want to talk to you about here tonight is how are you going to take PLR, right? And how are you going to take it, and then how are you going to create original products? Especially, let's say you might have a product that might be master resale rights, and maybe you don't have the right in order to take PLR and rewrite it, right? So how do we transform the PLR? Well, I'm going to be talking about that in this over the next 2.5 days. And I'm probably going to do this the second half of this in the internet marketing webinar. And so when we talk about transforming PLR, basically what we're going to do, and I'm going to skip to the end. I'm going to cheat this process a little bit. And I want to get to the end just to kind of tell you that what you want to do with your PLR is that you want to immerse yourself in it. You want to deliver it. And then you want to take what you delivered and turn that into a product, right? And that's really the process. And that's the highest and best use of PLR in order to create an original product. Now, of course, you can just sell your product as is, But what you really want to do is you want to take the product, immerse yourself in it, deliver it, and then take what you delivered and turn it into original product. And that's what we're going to be showing you over the next few days. So let's kind of get back to this. So let's talk about transforming PLR. And so we want to talk about how do you go from PLR to product, right? How do you go from having lots of articles that you just saw? How do you go from having a master resale rights product? How do you go from having a private label rights product to having your own product? And of course, you can definitely take the sales materials inside of any PLR product and use them to your benefit. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But this same process you can go through with any product, right? But if you have PLR, it works even better. And this is going to be a little longer than just putting it up and selling it. But what I'll tell you is you're going to build more authority, and you're going to build more of a customer base if you use this method of product creation. And it's also going to allow you to make use of all your old PLR. So this is really why, and I say this, right? And I didn't really understand this when I got involved in the industry. I don't really care how old the PLR is, right? And I know that almost sounds ridiculous, right? But I don't really care how old it is, because all I'm really looking for are the ideas, and I'm looking for leverage, right? And I want to organize my content. And so I'm just grabbing content, I'll organize it. And the best part about PLR is I don't have to give attribution. So in other words, I don't have to give anybody credit for the content that I'm putting together. And so when I get that content, all I'm looking to do, old or new, I don't care if it's old or new. I'm looking to put together ideas into sections so that I'll be able to deliver it either in a video or in a product video, right? So now when it comes to product creation, those of you who know this, right, and you've heard me say this, if you're going to get into the product creation game, right, you're going to get into the product creation. That's the way you're going to earn your income. Right. And I've seen, and I know that what happens is you see established marketers, people who've been around 7, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. They're already doing big product launches with PLR. And so you think, well, you know what? All I've got to do is I've got to get a bunch of JVs in order to kind of get moving. And that may or may not be true. Right. In order to get in the game, in order to make real money, what you've got to have, if you look at some of the guys who are launching big PLR products, you might think, well, I've got to have a gazillion person launch, and I've got to have all these affiliates and all this stuff. And you don't really necessarily have to do that in order to start generating cash flow, especially with PLR. Right? What you need to do, and I want you to hear me on this, and you heard me say this, I said this in the 30-day challenge, I've said this otherwise, what you have to do is you have to be prolific, right? You've got to be launching products. And so that doesn't mean that becomes your job, right? Your job is no longer to learn, your job is to launch products. And you should have no less than, and you should set this as a goal, right, for 2016, right? You should have no less than 50 products if you want to be in the product creation game, if you don't have a big list of JVs, right? One of the ways you're going to get noticed by JVs is you're going to be able to build up a product snowball. And you have been with me, those of you who've been with me long enough, you know that's what I advocate. That if you're just getting started, you don't have anything out there, I don't really care if your product only sells 2 copies on the first try. Right? Because your third product is going to sell more than those 2 copies just because you've now got those 2 people on a list and they like your stuff. Right? If you're going to do product creation, you have to be prolific. Okay? There's no way around that. And even the people who are doing big launches, right? And they're doing PLR, they're doing content, they've been around a long time, folks. So don't compare yourself to them. Right? When you start thinking about this, when you start thinking about creating an information product, don't compare yourself to someone who's been in sales all their life and who's been around internet marketing forever. But you got to go, but I got to get these big JVs and I got to start. You don't have to do any of that to get started. Right? And so here's the thing. Until you have a list the size you want, And hear me on this. I don't care if your list, I don't care if you only have one or two people who follow you on social media and you don't even have a list yet. I don't care how big or small your list is, right? Until you get this list the size you want, start creating products and making them available to buyers and users. Okay? Start making them available. Some of them you're going to give away. Some of them you're going to make available on Warrior Plus. Some of them you're going to make available free on the Warrior Forum. Start creating products. And if you need PLR to do that, use PLR as leverage, right? And I always suggest, and see, when you start buying PLR, you should, everything that's in your area of expertise, you ought to have all of the PLR. You ought to have all of it, right? So let's say that I know of a gentleman who who specializes in educational websites. His site is on showing men and women how to get their sons and daughters in college, and there's PLR out there on that. So I'm saying to him, well, if there's PLR out there and you don't have it, right, you ought to have all of it. I don't care who sells it and how much it costs. If that's your niche at the beginning, you ought to have all of that, all of it, because it's all leverage. Okay, now Rob asked, okay, what's one of the best places to get PLR? And I will tell you that if you're looking for PLR, that is probably, I would say, semi-generic, right? I have a subscription to Resale Rights Weekly, and you've probably even heard me say that, and I just put the link there in the box. That's the one subscription I never give up. I always keep a subscription to Resale Rights Weekly, right? And so you should be getting both PLR that is original. You should be getting PLR, all the PLR that's available in your niche. And you should be getting a membership, probably someplace like Resale Rights Weekly or ID PLR, right? Pretty much a lot of that PLR is going to be the same across the bigger memberships. And so what you want to do is to find one that's going to be affordable and consistent, right? And so Resale Rights Weekly is consistent. That's the one that I use. Okay, great question, Rob. Okay, so now, okay, and so you have the list, the size that you want. You should be creating products and making them available to buyers and users. Now, this is going to this is, when you see the title of this, I know a lot of people are going to say that's impossible. How can I start with list building immediately? I don't have a list. How do I get a list? Well, you can start with list building immediately. As soon as you get off this call, you should be doing list building. If you've been on a call with me before, you heard me say that doing something every day to build your list is like putting on your oxygen mask on an airplane, right? You know, if you've been on an airplane, they tell you if you're with your kid and something happens to the plane, that you need to put on your oxygen mask first, because if you don't have on your oxygen mask, you could die before you have a chance to help your kid. And I liken that to the same thing as doing something to build your list every day, because if you don't have prospects, eventually, I don't care how cool you are and how good you are at what you do, if you don't have prospects, you're not going to be able to make any money, right? You're not going to have anybody to sell to. So what I'm going to say to you is that you have to get started with list building now, right? Immediately. What do I mean by that? How do you do that? Here's what I want you to do. This is going to be a different strategy. So get ready. Now I want you to go back, and I want you to go to your hard drive, and I want you to go back to the beginning of what I want you to take a look at all the products you've purchased, right? Take a look at everybody you've purchased from, because now what you have, what do you have? What do you have when you have products that you've purchased? And I'm almost 100% that you probably didn't think of it like this, right? What do you have when you have products that you've purchased? Right? Anybody can chime in. Okay, so you've bought information products. What do you now have? Okay, what do you now have on your hard drive? What do you now have in your possession? Right? Anybody can answer. Okay, what do you think? Okay, Julie or Jerry, what do you think? So you've bought products. What do you now have? Joy, what do you think? Okay, you've got content, you've got a reminder. Okay, good, Dana. Okay, outdated stuff, right? Here's what I contend. I think you've got something even better than all those things. And here's what I'm going to tell you. You now have what? You now have a way of contacting product creators, right? You now have a way of contacting product creators directly, right? And even if the product creator has even if the product creator has someone answering their email, I have somebody answering mine. Doesn't really matter. You still now have a way to contact product creators. And I'm going to tell you why that's important as we go on. You now have an email address where you can get a hold of them because you are now their customer, right? So what does that mean? What does that now mean that you have the ability now to contact, right, a product creator? Okay, you want to start looking at what else do they produce? Okay, now that you have a way of contacting them, now just start going out on the internet, start looking at everything else they produce. Look at what else they have in terms of products, right? Look at what else they have. What do they produce? What do they sell? Right? Now, when you find that out, then what I want you to do is I want you to go look at Munch Eye and JV Notify. Right? Look at Munch Eye and JV Notify. I want you to find out what's coming up. What are they launching next? Right? What are they about to put out? What are they about to send out? What are they about to launch? What are they about to put out to their list? What are they about to sell in the Warrior Forum? What's next that they're about to sell? Right? So here's what you have so far. You have a way of contacting product creators. Now you should be looking on the internet. You should know what else they sell. And then you're going to look at Munch Eye and JV Notify to find out what they have coming up. Right now, let's go on. What you're going to do now, right? Once you understand this, right? Once you understand this is really simple. You're going to create something for them to put on their download page. Right? And we could now go home and you could execute that strategy just as it is. Now I'm going to actually explain a little more to you, but that's the strategy. You can start list building immediately, right? Now, again, and I've said this on the call before. I mean, don't come with just anything, right? Don't come with something you just went and got off a Resale Rights Weekly and then come to somebody and say, hey, you know what? I want to put a bonus on your download page. That is not what I'm talking about. You want to create a fantastic bonus for their download page. Something fantastic, something super fantastic. But what do I mean by that? You're gonna create a graphic for it. In other words, go out and get a 3D graphic. If you already have something like eCover Creator, right? Have an eCover created, a 3D eCover, create it for it. What's the 3D graphic for? That's for them to put on their download page. That's for them to put on their sales page if they want to use it as a bonus. So create a product for them to put on their download page. Create a really cool graphic, right? If you don't know how to create graphics, go to Fiverr and get one created. Right now, create an attractive opt-in page. Again, now I don't have time to show you how to do that. Right? Create an attractive opt-in page, an attractive one, right? Something that looks really cool, something that when they send their customers to, they'll say, okay, yeah, this is a real bonus. It ought to look like a bonus, folks. It ought to look like something that people think when they get it, it's really cool, right? So when the marketer sees it, this looks really cool. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. Start getting to know some of the product creators, right, on social media. Right now, again, start getting to know them. Go to a live event every so often. Right now, again, I've said this, and I say that if you got to scrape up your last dime for something, right? If you have to scrape up your last dime for something, the same thing's going to be true in anything that you do. Right? For those of you who are involved in business opportunities. right? You should be going to live events. If you are in a coaching program and the person giving the coaching program does a live event, right? You should be going to that live event if you can. If the next time that the Warrior Forum or JV Zoo does a live event, please, if you can get, I don't care if you get there and you are scared stiff and you don't say anything to anybody. You need to get there, and it's going to make a difference. And you're going to get there and you're going to meet somebody, right? Somebody is going to be there, and it's going to be your key collaboration. Start getting to know product creators, right? And I'm not just talking about from buying from them. Start getting to know them on a personal level. Do they have, do they have kids? They married? Are they into baseball? What team are they into? What hobbies are they into? What do they like to do? Do they like to do something you like to do? Did they go to school the same place you did? Okay, are they about the same age you are? Okay, do they have kids in college? Get to know some of these guys, right? Listen, this is not rocket science. You do the same thing. Now, for those of you who are still employed full time, for those of you who are still employed part time, you do the very same thing. You get to know people, right? And I don't care if it's everybody from the top to the bottom. The way you get along with folks, the way you get things done is you get to know these people. Start getting to know product creators, right? You don't just roll up on them and just say, hey, you know what? I got this really cool product, and I want to put it on your download page. That's not gonna work, right? Get to know these folks. Now, I want to take this idea of getting to know them further. Establish a business relationship. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by establishing a business relationship so you can get that product on their download page? What's a business relationship? In other words, I'm telling you to go first in establishing the business relationship. How do you do that? How can you make these people more money? Now, you're asking them to do something. You're asking them to allow you space on their download page in front of their buyers, right? So what are you going to do for them? It's the old Janis Jackson song, right? What have you done for me lately? Right? What have you done for them before you start asking for something? Okay, how can you make these people more money? Can you bring them in front of your audience if you have one? And you might not have an audience yet, but how can you bring them in front of your audience if you don't have an audience? Easy. Record a webinar, do an interview, right? Do an interview. Right? People love to be interviewed because they like to talk about themselves, right? How can you bring them in front of an audience? Doesn't matter if your audience is only one person. Could be your mom or dad and your dog, right? Doesn't matter. Okay, do an interview, do a webinar. Okay, get them on there and then let them sell their stuff, right? Get them on there and let them sell their stuff. Get them some exposure. Share it on social media. Hey, here's somebody I met that is just the coolest person I've ever met, right? Share it on social media. Now, you're establishing a business relationship. Can you promote their product? So get on their JV list, right? Typically, somebody they've got an email list that you can get on. You get on their JV list, so you can find out what they're promoting. You can find out what they have coming up. Then get on their promotional list. Right? Get on their promotional list. So in other words, find out how they email, find out what they tell their prospects, right? But get on their JV list. Get on the list that they send out for emails for their JVs. Now, can you do a video testimonial for them about how awesome they are? And you might think, oh man, that's really corny. And listen, how to set this is just a little bit of how you set yourself apart from the crowd, right? Most people are not going to do a video testimonial, but I can guarantee you that every marketer worth their salt, they're getting a proposition from everybody and their mother to do this. So what are you going to do? Do a video testimonial. I promise you this is going to get somebody's attention. Right? And you don't have to do a video testimonial if they really aren't cool. Right? I mean, if their products are junk, right? Or if you don't really like them, well, don't do a video testimonial for them. Find somebody you like. right? Do a video testimonial for them. Talk about how awesome they are. Unsolicit it and send it to them. Right? Again, remember, you got their email address. You got a way of contacting them. And look, if somebody, and I'm not telling you to do this for me, right? If somebody sent me a video testimonial and Lana got it, right? My daughter got that in read my email. That person's going to move to the top of the line. And it's not because I'm saying that to you so you can do it. I'm saying that I'm like everybody else. If you send something to a support person and you do a video testimonial, and I promise you, you're going to the top of their list, right? Can you provide content for them? Again, I don't have a lot of time to go into that, but again, typically, most marketers have a need for good content. Right? Whether or not it's to put on their blog, can you provide that content? Can you do an intro to somebody that's important to them? So in other words, man, maybe there's a speaking opportunity at your local college. Maybe there's a speaking opportunity at your local social club. Maybe you've got something going on at your nonprofit. And you're going to say, hey, we're going to do a video conference of this guy that I know. He's really cool. We're going to do a webinar. I'm going to put it up on the big screen of this lady I know. She is sharp, right? Can you bring them in front of an audience, right? Can you do an intro to somebody that's important to them? You're establishing a business relationship. Can you get them a speaking engagement? I think I already talked about that. You don't have to do all of these things, but there is always a way for you to go first in the relationship. Right? You go first before you go asking, right? Give before you ever receive, right? That's the rule. You give 3 times before you receive. Give before you ever receive, right? There's always a way to give to somebody. There's always a way for you to go first. There's always a way for you to establish that business relationship so that you can get on that download page. And trust me, when you can get on that download page with something cool, right, with something that people are going to want, you are going to be doing list building. I promise you that. And all you're doing is basic relationship building. But you can take care of all of this. Let's see. I think it's in March, right? It's in March. Go, start looking around for it. It's probably on Google. Find out when the next JV Zoo event is, okay, and start saving your pennies right now, right? Traffic and conversions. Ryan Dice's summit is in August. Start saving your pennies, okay? I don't care what you have to do. Put that money aside. Cancel cable if you have to, right? Put that money aside so when the JV Zoo conference comes, right? If you got to drive there, and then spend your money on the hotel, do that, right? Don't go there expecting to have to buy products because that ain't what it's about. The next live event that's going on, you be there. For those of you who are overseas, they have a ton of stuff in London these days, in Sydney, Australia. I don't care where you are, you should be going to these live events. So establish a business relationship. And what I want to tell you is that, and I've done this, right? I'm not telling you anything that I haven't done. You need to get comfortable with getting turned down, right? Most of the time, 90% of the time, you're going to get turned down, right? You're going to make progress. And see, once you get immune to getting turned down, then you're just going to be asking everybody, right? It's going to become a process. And before you know it, it's going to seem like lots more people are saying yes to you because number one, you'll understand what they want. Number two, you will have been through the process. Number three, you just won't even care if they say no. They're just one more person. And really and truly, it's never really no. It's typically this isn't a good time, right? Because all marketers want to make more money, and people with whom they have a relationship, they're going to be partial to. Right? They're going to be partial to people they have a relationship with. I don't care who they are. Right? And so this is going to be the case. Listen, boy, there are people with whom I would say that I have had the frostiest email conversations that you could ever imagine. I mean, very tense, very bordering on inappropriate, right? I never said anything inappropriate, but bordering on just angry and heated. But you know what? When somebody's going back and forth with me on email, right? If they're a heavy hitter, I'm just thinking, you know what? Someplace in the back of my mind, that's cool because I have your email address. And to a person, right? I can contact each one of those people today, right? And ask them a question, and they'll answer that question, just kind of based on the fact that, hey, who's this care? Oh yeah, I remember this guy. Right? Good gracious, he won't go away. That guy. You need to be that person, right? Establish a business relationship. Now, whoever's going to be the most responsive to you, you offer to put a bonus on their download page. That's what you're trying to do. And everything I just told you doesn't take a long time. Now, listen, everything I told you takes longer to explain than it takes to do. Right? Everything I just told you takes, it's probably going to take me an hour to explain this to you. It probably takes about 10 minutes to do. Right? Because you've just got to kind of work up the nerve to do it. Okay? You ought to know when their upcoming launch is. You ought to know what the upcoming launch is going to be about. Right? You ought to know what kind of cool bonus you can offer. Well, what kind of cool bonus can you offer? Right? What can you put together? Right? What do you have the ability to put together that's going to be relevant to their customers who are buying this product? Right now, is your bonus unique and does it have monetary value? What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is it your very best effort? Please do not go and get a PLR product from Resale Rights Weekly and then change the e-cover. Right. And then go to a marketer and say, hey, I've got this for your download. Please don't do that. And it's not cool and it's disingenuous. Right. And what's going to happen is people are going to opt in. They're going to get that. They're going to say, you know what? I saw this before. This isn't even that person's product. And having that person on your list is going to be meaningless. Right. Because the whole other part of this strategy is list management, which it looks like I'm running out of time. I'm not going to even be able to get to. Now, and this is going to be important. Make sure your bonus is for sale someplace. And even if you haven't sold it, get a buy button on it someplace. Not the very same page you're going to be given on the opt-in page, but put it up for sale. Put it up for sale on the Warrior Plus. Put it up for sale on the Warrior Forum. Put it up for sale on JVZoo. Make sure it's for sale someplace because it needs to have a dollar value. It needs to be a dollar valued product in order for it to be a real bonus. Now, when you create the graphic, right, for the download page, right? So what's going to happen is they're going to have a graphic on their download page, and you want to make sure your graphic says on there, right, that this product would normally cost $97. And then if they go Google it, they should find your page, and sure enough, it should say what? $97, right? It should already say that. So when you create your graphic, make sure there's a dollar amount on there. So yes, they need to it's a free product, but it has a dollar value of what? $17, $37, $47, $97, whatever the case is. This is not one of those cases where you have to go overboard, right? So you don't have to say, well, this product is worth $7,000. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. If it costs, right? If it costs $17 on your website, put that price on there. If it costs $27.95 on your website, put that on there, right? When you create your graphic, make sure the graphic has on there the price. Now, if you don't know how to create graphics on Photoshop, just go to Fiverr and have it done. Okay. You know, I'm not one of these people that say you got to go to Fiverr to have everything done. I'm not that person, but I am that person. If you don't know how to use Photoshop and and your graphic's not going to look like a graphic that makes people want to click on it. So if you can't do that, then you know, just have it done. right? If you don't want to go to Fiverr, have it done on Odesk or wherever the case is, right? This is where, I mean, how many of you all, some of you all have kids and grandkids at home, right? Go get them Photoshop, teach them how to use it so they can do some of this stuff for you. I'm really not kidding about that. Right? If you have kids and grandkids that are hovering around your house, they're playing video games, they're doing all this other stuff. Listen, get them involved in what you're doing. Right? Get them involved. Right? Show them how do you do some of this stuff. Okay. So offer the most responsive marketer a bonus. Right? If you don't know how to create the graphics, have them create it. Now, I need to get into how you're going to manage this list, because that's really going to be important to this whole process, because we really have a long way to go, right? We have to get into how you're gonna create that product. We're not even close to there, and so we're really at the point now we're talking about list management. As I said, I'm either going to do one to two things with this. I'm either going to make this into an entire product, right, and sell it, or I'm going to finish part of this next week on Thursday. Haven't really decided yet, because we're about 1/3 of the way done. We got 2/3 left, and I'm not even close. I've already done an hour, right? But so far on anything that we've done, are there any questions? Okay, any questions? I'm going to skip through this. Okay, so tonight, if you do not have a webinar system, the special is going to be go ahead and pick up the webinar system that I'm using right now. It's called Webinar Fusion Pro, right? And it's an awesome webinar system. I still have GoToWebinar, but one of the things I like about this webinar system is that when I get done with this webinar, it's already content, right? And it's already on YouTube, right? It's already content, and that's really almost part of the process of creating a product, right? That content is going to be on YouTube already, and I can just pull that content down in order to create a product. Okay, Julie's asking, the autoresponder work is 18 days to do. Well, what I would say is that, and I'm going to go through a sequence with you, is what I teach, Julie, is that the first 7 to 12 days you ought to give value, and then after 7 days, then you should have your own products to sell. And you need to start giving them the opportunity to buy those products. And so what you're going to do inside of your products is that you're going to have an auto opt-in, so that when somebody buys that product, they get taken off the prospect list and get put on the buyer's list. But you need to start putting a new offer in that sequence once a day, right, with a new product. You're going to get some unsubscribes. Right? There are going to be people who are going to unsubscribe as a result of that. Well, that's fine, because it's likely that maybe you're just not their cup of tea. Maybe they don't like to get email every day. Maybe they don't like your style. Maybe they just don't like, anything, right? Some people they're just not going to like you. So you'll just need to get used to that. And so that list really should be automated. Right, you should be adding to that automation every day, right? But that list could be 365 messages long by the end of the year. But they should be getting an offer every day to buy something of yours, and then as soon as that purchase happens, they should get taken off that list using list automation. Okay, great question. Any other questions? Okay, so this process so far is one that anybody can do, right? It's one that anybody can do. And it really does start with having, some kind of PLR to work with, and creating videos, creating products. And we're going to get to why that's important here at the end of what we're going to be talking about. Okay, so are there any other questions? Okay, everybody. Well, thank you very much for being here. Have a great night. And for those of you who are going to be around on Thursday for the internet marketing call, I will see you then. And once again, I'm anticipating being able to do that call on Periscope. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I'll see you in the next webinar.